Now after this import, the next few lines in our program, we are basically having the MSG string variable. We are having the key code variable which is having the value given as 30. And we also have the mode type which is encrypt. You can either set it to encrypt or decrypt. Now here the MSG string, it basically stores the string that is to be encrypted or decrypted, and the key variable, that is our key code, stores the integer of the encryption key, right? So the mode type variable over here stores the string encrypt or decrypt, which makes either the code later in the program, that is encrypting a string or decrypting a string. Now coming to the constants and the variables that are used in this program. Now constants basically are variables whose values shouldn't be changed when the program runs. Now for example, in the Caesar cipher program, we need a string that contains every possible character that can be encrypted with this program. Now because that string shouldn't be changed, we store it in a constant named symbols type, right? Now one more thing over here, we will make symbol type like this, and let's copy it everywhere that we have used the particular variable. Now I'll show you what is the use of this, but okay, let's save this and run again. Okay, fine. So now over here you can see the variable that we have taken. It is basically just a common term which is used in a cryptography for a single character that is a cipher can encrypt or a decrypt. Now a symbol basically is a set which is every possible symbol a cipher is set up to encrypt or decrypt. Now because we will be using the symbol set many times in this particular program, and because we don't want to type the full string value each time it appears in the program, we are using here a constant to store the values. Now why have we changed it to all uppercase? Because whenever we use any variable name all in uppercase, it means that we are using it as a constant. So the value once assigned will not be changed. It is just like any other variable that all uppercase name reminds the programmer that do not write the code that does so. So as with all the conventions, we don't have to follow this one, but doing so makes it easier for other programmers to understand how these variables are basically used, right? Then we take a blank string variable that is translated str, which is just having a blank value into it, which will be storing the translated value in the given variable. Now for it, currently we are giving it a blank value itself. Now we come to our for loop statement over here. Now we are using this for SYM in our message or MSG string. We recall that a while loop will loop as long as a certain condition is true, and also the for loop has a slightly different purpose and doesn't have a condition like the while loop. Instead, it loops over a string or a group of values. So for every value in MSG string, the SYM will go on executing itself, and each time the program execution goes through the loop, that is, on each iteration through the loop, the variable in the for statement takes on a value of the next character in the variable containing a particular string. In this case, it is MSG string. Now for the for statement is similar to an assignment statement because variable is created, assigned a value, except the for statement cycles through different values to assign the variable. Now let us see a simple example of a for loop. We'll just go to the interactive shell over here and we will type the particular for loop saying say for letter in say happy. Here we are saying print in bracket the letter is plus the value of letter. Okay, so here we get each and individual value of the particular character getting printed at the end of the line. So this particular loop gets, or the code loops over each character in the string happy, and when it does, the variable letter takes on each of the character in the string happy one at a time in order. So we can just rewrite the code in the loop that prints the value of letter for each iteration. Now again similarly, we'll understand a while loop equivalent to a or for a for loop. The for loop is very similar to a while loop, but when you only need to iterate over characters in a string, using a for loop is more efficient, and you could make a while loop act like a for loop by writing a bit more code like this. For example, we say I equals to 0. We say while I is less than the length of, say, happy, colon. Okay, we open the while loop here. Here we use letter that's equal to, say, happy. At the index I, we use here print in single quotes the letter S plus the value of letter, and we say I equals to I plus 1. So here again we get the same values printed over here using the while loop. So notice that this while loop works the same as we had the for loop, but is not as short and simple as the for loop, the one which we have written above. First, we need to set a variable, that is I to 0, before the while statement. Then the statement will have a condition that will evaluate to true as long as the variable I is less than the length of the string happy. Because I is an integer and only keeps track of the current position in the string, we will need to declare a separate letter variable to hold the character in the string at the I position. And then we can print the current value of the letter to get the same output as the for loop. So when the code is finished executing, we need to increment also the I by adding 1 to it to move it to the next position, right? So it is better for us to use the for loop in case of while loop over here, because we will make it a more shorter and a smarter loop which we can write down in our particular program. Now we move on to our next part in the program, that is coming to the if condition. Here we are using if SYM in our symbol types. Now you can read an if statement as, say, if this condition is true, execute the code in the following block. Otherwise, if it is false, skip the block. An if statement is formatted using the keyword if followed by a condition followed by a colon. The code to execute is indented in the block just as with the loops. So for example, we will try an if statement and see how does it basically work. Say we'll go back here and we will say print, say enter your password. Rather, we made a mistake here. Say print enter your password. Okay, but now we basically need to write down in a separate file as we need to execute this together. So what we would do is, let's go for a new file and here we would write down, say print enter your password. Then we will create here, say password input is equal to, use the input method, store whatever password the user have typed over here. Check if the password input is equal to a particular password, say admin 123 for example. If it is, then you print here, say access granted, and use here print, say done. Okay, so now we save this. Let us save it again in E drive hacking beginner, and we save it over here by the name, say check password.py, and we try to execute this. So enter password. Now we enter A capital. We had given there A small. So it is not giving us the access granted. It is just giving us the value done. But suppose we go back here, we again run the module. We enter here now admin 123. It says access granted and then the statement as done. So when you run the particular program, it displays you first the text that is enter your password and lets the user type the password over there. Whatever password is then typed by the user is stored in the variable that we have created, that is our password input, right? Next, the if statement checks whether the password is equal to the string that is admin, all in small case 123. If it is, the execution moves inside the block following the if statement to display the text as access granted. Otherwise, if the password input isn't equal to admin123, even if the case is wrong, that is a capital admin or something like that, the execution skips the if statement block either way, and the execution continues on to the code after the if block to display just the statement as done, right? Now, similarly, we will see what happens if we use the else statement over here. Okay.